an agenda addendum, board members. And the purpose of it is under the consent agenda item, and it is a purchase over $30,000, and it is cover all solid janitorial services, 55404 for SC, SD, and Elk Road. So that is, I will entertain the motion.
So we attach it to the consent agenda.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. So it is attached to the consent agenda item, which is 6-8, I believe 6-9. And so with that, again, we have public comments, I believe. Thank you very much. We have public subject on the agenda, parents of the year, Ms. Tara Jones, and he's going to do, thank you. All
Yes,
right.
thank you. Good afternoon, Superintendent, our wonderful board and cabinet. I'm really happy to be here today and to welcome our SAVA Parent of the Year, Brenda Vaccaro. I'd like to just say a few words about what I've chosen her as our Parent of the Year. Not only is she wonderfully involved, she is welcome to come up, Brenda. Not only is she very involved in our school and everything that she's asked to do and beyond. She also partnered with us this year to bring group counseling sessions to our students. She is also our school site council chairwoman, and we just really want to honor her today as our Parent of the Year.
So you'll spell that way.
Yeah. And thank you. As I told you earlier, we're so proud of the parents of the best and the work that you do. So again, thank you for all of the services you give. Again, your son is very pleased and happy in his school. Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Lewis, would you mind joining?
Absolutely.
Yes.
More, yes.
Let's get it.
Then we'll turn around and do more time. And we also want to welcome your mom who came to support you. So thank you for being here. Thank you. Now, we know that you have busy schedules and you do not have to stay unless you really want to. So, thank you. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Aiden's doing.
It was like having a parent and a grandparent.
All right, so now we shall continue on with our regular board meeting with the superintendent's date, which we look forward to all the time.
It is an honor to once again give you the superintendent's update. So we do have a few administrators still standing in the house, even though we are in the middle of the principal year-end evaluations. We haven't beaten them up too hard. We have a few more scheduled for tomorrow, and then all of our site administrators will have been adequately evaluated. And I think there's only going to be a few bruises out there, so they're doing pretty good. So actually, we're enjoying Mr. Gillespie and I are enjoying having the reflection and conversation because it is a time. It's going to take me a minute. It is a time to reflect and to affirm and appreciate all the great work being done in our schools. And we also have had Mr. Southland and I a series of meetings with every school administrator who had a kindergarten, 8th grade, or high school promotion. Talked about what went well, what we appreciated, what we might look at differently, what are opportunities for next year. We had some really good conversations around excellence, and looking forward to next year. We have 3 principals who are going to have vice principals, new vice principals next year, or else for the first time are having a vice principal role. And Mr. Gillespie and Mr. Samuel are beginning an onboarding process with those new vice principals and how to support them and support the new schools. So we're really excited about bringing those people on. All 3 are in-house candidates, which is also something we very much honor and affirm. We have recently had our end of year or annual meeting with Old County for EPIC with Dr. Rhonda DeRosa was her last meeting with us. She is retiring from Yolo County. She was very positive, affirming and appreciative as she handed over the reins to Dr. Pinot, Carolyn Pinot, who's our new contact at Yolo County. Our annual oversight was positive in every way. We discussed charter renewal, which you'll remember is happening at Yolo County this fall, and discussed what the process would be like. This is our first renewal, it's not like Jason. So they've had quite a few questions since we've not gone through the process with them, but it's all very positive and important. We have notified Twin Rivers, the Deputy Superintendent of the Fire, via letter that we are moving CCCS Elementary to our former future high school site, and we are moving the CCS North Sacramento program to the Firehouse Community Center. At this point, it is our hope and belief that we may be handling this as simply a communication without the need for a material revision process. That is what we are attempting to do through our relationships there. San Juan has started their modernization work at Gateway International School. If you want to see pictures, Ms. Joy has lots of pictures of the portables. She and her team have been hanging out here working while all that is going on, but good progress is being made with that project of modernization at Gateway International. Their hope is, the belief is that we will be in by August 5th. So it's going to be exciting. Our Sac City Charter Liaison, Mr. Jack Kramer, is leaving. And there are mixed reactions to that, but he is leaving Sac City to take a position with Forest Hill. He will be a superintendent principal at Forest Hill. Jack Kramer is incredibly detail oriented and has been the charter liaison since we have been there, and we don't know who will be taking the role behind him. But we believe we will continue to work in the same productive way that we worked with him with Sac City once they named his replacement. Friday, we had our final end of year principal and vice principal meeting of the year. We had a bundt cake and I don't know, some sort of taco salad, taco bar, and a good final meeting where we did a lot of reflection on the year. I think a lot of good things were mentioned, and people are tired but positive about what's been accomplished so far. So it felt really good to have that time together. Vice principals are now off calendar. Technically, yes, technically on calendar. Our principals are technically on calendar till this Friday. We also had our last central admin meeting this morning. We had a potluck breakfast and again some time to reflect and to consider the year and what will be happening ahead, which is a little more interesting for central office since we never seem to end a year and start a year. We just keep going, but we did take some time for that. This last weekend, I was in Squaw Valley representing you and the charter school movement at the FICMAT board meeting, where a lot of good discussions, a lot of discussions about charters and charter law and charter regulation and articles in the paper about indictments around charters were all the nature of the conversation of the day. But I'm still standing, so it's okay. So that is the superintendent's. Oh wait, I did want to tell you that we are continuing our discussion and vision and mission around our work at the Firehouse Cafe, which you will remember is a part of our blueprint, among other things for the future. CCCS is moving there. SABA continues to name it as a resource center. And we are working on zoning with the city so that we can manage our vision and mission of having a cafe there. So we are continuing a little slower than I wanted, but we are continuing our progress towards that eventual outcome.
I was just trying to visualize, because I've been to the firehouse and visualizing where it's gonna be in the space that's allocated, so we shall see.
Just think possibilities, don't think constraints, it's not
Okay.
helpful.
I'm not just talking, I'm talking, where's it gonna be? Okay, any comments, board members? Regarding the report, thank you so much. Again, you've been very busy with Big Mac and all the other things. And I talked to some of the vice principals, and they did tell me they were off the clock, but they were happy to be here tonight. So they said, so thank you. Thank you. All right. And so with that, I know while they're here, they are ready for the study session for one Sacramento Academic and Vocational Academy, Samba TR, Samba EG, Samba SC, and hello, are we ready?
Good afternoon.
Anything you want to say before we start? Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely, good to be here. It's always good to be able to come and share all the great things we do at Saba throughout the school year. I'm going to start with just a little gift for each of you. We got these fancy little notebook journals with Saba and our motto of Love Teach Guide on the front cover. So just a little knick-knack for you.
This
And
is
one for you as well.
beautiful.
You bet. All right, well, one of the best things about being at Saba is the team I get to work with, and they meant it when they said they actually are happy to be here. And that's genuine. And I just want to start with an affirmation to my team. They're all off calendar, my 5 VPs and one of my 2 amazing curriculum coaches, and just really appreciate all the work they do leading every single day at the school sites to create opportunities for kids. So love you guys. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you very much.
Let's see, there we go. All right, to start off, we're going to start with good things like we always do in the GCC. The first picture on the cover here is our graduation this last year. We had 180 graduates, which was the second highest number we have had in 13 years now that I've been at Saba. And always a great night, fun night to see that many kids and families celebrating. As we move on, other good things throughout the year. These are things that I just wasn't able to fit into the rest of my presentation. So I'll hit on these fairly fast. But first, the GCC Maker Fair. We got a group of 5 students from the Power In campus this year attend the Maker Fair. And they went not just to present a project, but these 5 students went and were able to lead other GCC elementary students through building projects at the fair. So it was a great experience for them. They came back smiling, beaming. It's very special for our students to get the chance to actually lead, not just do and participate, but to be leaders out in the community. And the Maker Fair was a great way to make that happen. The Create Mentor Program is a partnership we have through the Sacramento Regional Builders Exchange. They bring mentors onto campus every year and lead our kids through a construction-based project. This is the second year in a row that our kids have won Best Presentation at the final event of the year for SRBX. And keep in mind, these presentations are up against schools like Granite Bay, Rancho Cordova, Folsom High School. And we have taken home this Best Presentation 2 years in a row. So incredibly proud of Ashley, the work she's done with our CTE program. For Coach, who's up there in the picture on my left, he's been battling this year, going through some illnesses, and I definitely wish him the best. I was texting him today, and he cannot wait to get back at it, but he did make it to these presentations where he got to see his kids get the presentation trophy. And also, Lizette, the young lady in the picture, received a $2,000 scholarship for her work throughout the Create Mentor program. And last, WASP, and a little bit more WASP. Since I am up here presenting for 3 schools today, we were able to go through 3 successful WASP visits this year. We were able to take Twin Rivers completely out of probationary status and now have full accreditation status for that school. Elk Grove and Sac City both were given full initial accreditations. For those 2 visits, we had Nancy Brunell, who is the director of WASP, actually served as the committee chair for those visits, which at first, gave me a little anxiety, going, man, pressure's on here. I mean, this is the head honcho. And to walk away from those visits with the director of WASP saying that if her kids were in high school, I would send them to your school, was about as big of affirmation as you could ask for. So a lot of great work done by the whole team at Saba to make that happen. Jumping into student learning and academic outcomes, we're going to start talking about a little bit of data. You should have your data sheets in front of you. I don't think Mike is here today, but Mike was able to put those together for us this year, so thank you to him for that work. Just a couple points I'll hit here in the presentation. Renaissance really is one of the key ways that we measure academic success and growth throughout the year. We had an annual growth of 131 points in reading. To put that in perspective, our goal is to hit 100 points. We've been doing Renaissance testing for about 7 years, and 131 average score throughout the year is the highest that SAVA has had in the 7 years of running this program, so very proud of that work. Math, our goal is 50 points per year. We hit 41, so not quite to our growth target. But again, if you look compared to last year, we're up 4 additional points. Last year's score for math was 37. So slowly showing improvement there, but definitely a focus area we have to continue to work on. CAS growth. We know the reality of SAVA's CAS data, it's not pretty. But we also know there's a lot of reasons, a lot of factors that contribute to the data that's there. That just means we have a little bit more work to do to help our students get to that proficient level. Initial scores are out there. They're not official yet, but it's preliminary scores. And from the looks of it, our Twin Rivers campus has made some very positive growth, significant growth in English language arts and some small growth in math. So very proud of that work. Elk Grove scores really mirrored that of Twin Rivers. And then our Sac City scores were a little bit lower. So we'll definitely be analyzing that in more detail as the official scores are reported. But again, overall, with Twin Rivers, very proud to see some significant growth in English language arts, which really ties into the work we've done with our coherence, professional development, and cycles of inquiry throughout the last 2 years at SAVA throughout the GCC. The focus on cycles of inquiry this year really focused on finding in an independent study, non-classroom-based setting, data that is relevant and significant that we can look at, analyze, study, and find ways to be better in the classroom every day as teachers, as administrators, and help our students achieve greater and greater outcomes. It's a lot of hard work when you're dealing with multiple different school sites, multiple campuses, keeping everything similar, everything coherent is a big challenge. But again, with the team behind me, we've done a great job working through that with our staff this year, and I'm confident that in the years to come, we'll continue to see positive growth in that area. And then the other component of college and career readiness really falls into our CTE program. But I'm going to ask Patty to come up for just a minute and share some of the highlights this year from CTE. Come on up, Ashley.
Thank you, members, Dr. Peterson, for the opportunity to speak to you about our CTE programs. I'm just going to take a couple minutes for some of the highlights from this past year. So like Maury said, with the Job Shadow, we've been able to expand our Job Shadow event to once each semester now, rather than just once a year. So this past year, we were able to have almost 200 students participate with over 35 industry partners across the year. So that was a huge one for us. This past year, we also had our annual CTE showcase. So this was our 3rd year. And it has been our preliminary event to showcase what we do at SAVA to all of our stakeholders, from students to parents to community members to industry partners. So we actually hit highlight this time around with 230 attendees. And thank you, Ms. Lilly, for coming out to support our fashion show.
My pleasure.
Yes. And this year it was great because we had all 10 pathways represented with student leadership at each one of the pathways and participation for community to get involved in what they do within each of our pathways. So that was very exciting. Some of our next steps, we have the opportunity to hire and post a workforce coordinator position that is funded through the SWP Strong Workforce Program grants that we were awarded this year. That workforce coordinator position primarily will be focused on solidifying some of those connections with industry. So they're just expanding those opportunities for students and industry to come together in a multitude of ways, whether it be speakers coming into the classroom, smaller job shadow groups going out, and then also bringing in more employers and training programs to partner with our teachers to enhance and expand our apprenticeship and internship programs. We're going to talk a little bit about 1,000 Strong and the internships, but we also are in the middle of that process where we have 35 students signed up to completing the workforce training, and then we're in the moment of matching them up with internships. So we are excited about that. And then our final piece is this year we've had the opportunity to dive into some training with project-based learning, which I think is going to be so impactful for our teachers, where we already have some project-based learning happening in pockets with our building trades and the tiny houses that we've done to homeless vets. So we really want to see that partnership between core academics and our CTE teachers to solidify and create more authentic projects, so students see meaning in what they do and will also have a positive impact on it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
And in Ashley's first year overseeing our CTE program, she wrote and received over $800,000 in grants for SAVA for next year. So that is a big deal. And one of the reasons we're able to continue to grow is because we are being given the opportunity to apply for grants, and I have staff that are willing to put the extra work and time in to write them. And when people hear about what we are doing, they like the money to flow through us because we've been able to show good outcomes over the years. So we're very honored and privileged to be able to take that on. As we continue to find more and more ways to create student success, one thing we do throughout the GCC is find ways to continue to maximize technology to enhance learning. SAVA's been doing this for years. We went one-to-one with Chromebooks last school year. We have an online curriculum for most of our core curriculum. This year, we're expanding into different platforms. Writable is one that we use to do our annual GCC writing assessment. Ludo is a program we're going to be using next year, where students will build a portfolio to showcase work completed throughout the year. And we're looking at some different types of digital badge system to incorporate into Ludo that students can earn for different tasks and accomplishments throughout the year. And then, of course, within CTE, one of the important reasons we write these grants and we really need this extra funding is technology within CTE fields is expensive. And these grants provide ways for us to make sure that they're giving our students the most up-to-date industry standard technology available so that when they leave SAVA, they are ready for work in the real world. A safe and healthy learning environment. You know, this is really where SAVA shines. We know that students that come to SAVA come to us frequently with challenging pasts, a lot of heartache, a lot of life troubles and challenges that nobody's ever been able to help them work through. And of course, one thing we do with SAVA and also throughout the GCC is practice capturing kids' hearts. And this is really the foundation of everything we do every day within every one of our programs. We continue the CKH training, making sure all our teachers that are new go through the CKH 1. We were able to dive a little deeper with our Blueprint leadership training this year. I think we have roughly 15 staff members attend that training. And we are now back-to-back national showcase school recipients. So very proud of that status. Facilities. We believe that when we give students good facilities to learn in, when we have good furniture and colorful, joyful paint on the wall, and just they can walk into an environment that feels alive, that they will perform better, that they will buy in, they will work harder and achieve more. And we've done a lot of this year at all of our campuses, but I specifically want to point out the new facility at Tower Inn. We finally have the entire U complete. It's been about a 7-year process. The last suite we took over is now turning into a large construction facility, and then for our construction pathway. And we also have a much larger space for our fitness and rec pathway, where I put the gym up there on the screen. It's going to provide more opportunities for more students to be involved in those pathways. We'll be able to put more into a single class. And then the brand new facility in Natomas is fabulous. Everybody that's walked in there this year just raves about how well it's designed, how it looks. Students, families just love the feel when they walk in. So, huge affirmation to facilities. I don't see Jerry here today, but he put a lot of work in to make this happen. As did Aaron and the whole business office, making sure we had the budget to support it. So thank you, Brooke and Aaron, for the help to get into those new facilities. And we do it a lot at SAVA, and we definitely appreciate the support. Mental, physical, and social well-being. There's so many things that we do at SAVA to make sure that we're supporting the SEL, or social emotional learning, for our students. Just having a couple of them here. First, our Young Women's Leadership class. On my right, the picture in the bottom right corner is Miss LaRoe and her Young Women's Leadership class down in Los Angeles for a leadership event this spring. We provided mental health and counseling services to students throughout multiple sites this year through different partners. And of course, student recognition events, all the counseling and support services are definitely needed. But I mean, one of the best things you do for students is celebrate their wins, celebrate their success. And we are intentional about holding multiple events at every campus each school year to make sure our students know how much we appreciate and recognize their achievements and their accomplishments. A couple pictures of our facilities. If you haven't been there yet, this is a classroom at our Natomas campus. We have one of our teachers, Mr. Novice, come in over a weekend with his family and put up this awesome wood plank wall that just looks fabulous and smells pretty good too when you walk into the building.
Yes.
And then the front lobby in Natomas, this is a shop during one of our student appreciation events. The photography that you see on my right on the wall, that is all student photography from our advanced photography class. And as you walk through the campus, we have those pictures, posted up on the wall throughout. So just another way to celebrate our students and what they do every day at school is by showcasing their work. To build and maintain fiscal integrity and responsibility. So this is definitely something that's a focus throughout the GCC. We have a leadership team in the central office who is adamant that we do things the right way every day. With 6 school sites for SAVA, 3 school budgets, which means we have 3 different LCAPs. There's a lot of work to make this happen. The amount of work over the last year has moved from 1 to 3 charters has been a little bit overwhelming. And again, Brooke and Aaron in the business office have been a huge support, helping me learn how to manage these budgets from the principal end. So thank you again, guys, for that help. It's definitely a lot, but I love that no matter what department you're talking about here at the GCC, we're always up for the challenge because we know that when we do it right and do it well, it's going to make a big impact for our students. Maintaining high enrollment is obviously one of the ways that we keep that budget balanced. This year at Twin Rivers, we started the year in January, the calendar year, January 2019, with 55 students. We opened up the new site on January 6th or 7th, and at the end of the year, we had 100 students at that campus. So one semester, we almost doubled our growth. Very happy with that, but we have a lot more work to do. We are budgeted to start the year with 150 in the fall, and I absolutely believe we'll hit that target. We've got a plan over the summer to continue recruiting. We'll be on Pandora Radio again, and when you get our first interim budget report at the end of next fall, should expect that number to be in the high 100s. Pretty confident we'll be there. Elk Grove was pretty much right on par with enrollment projections as a first-year school. In Sac City, we exceeded enrollment projections. I'm looking back at my enrollment data. This is not actual ADA, but this was enrollment numbers. The difference from last year, 17-18 school year, on the last day to this year, the 18-19 school year, was a 65 student increase. So a lot of good work there. Being partnered with the school districts was a big deal. And having a solidified partnership with your local district, we have found specifically in Sac City that they are now much more willing to refer kids that aren't fitting into their school system to us. And I attribute a lot of the growth to that partnership. Family and community engagement, always looking for ways to make sure that all of our stakeholders are involved in what we do. We hold parent engagement events throughout the year. We do a lot of different surveys, specifically geared towards Seek Age and school culture. As Ashley spoke about, we hold a CTE showcase to highlight the work of our students throughout the year. And this is a place where, again, when you have 230 community members show up, it's a big deal. And people walk away impressed with what they see from their students. And there's nothing better than having parents walk out with a smile because of what they got to see their kids do. The picture at the bottom is our fashion show. You can see a pretty good crowd there, and it's always amazing to see the work that our fashion teacher, Skylar, does each year to make that happen. And then, of course, just gathering up community partners, a big part of Ashley's role, working with Valara Construction this year, teaching HVAC and plumbing. They came to us. We didn't come to them. I mean, that's how, that's the reputation we're now gaining in the community. People hear about what we are doing at SAVA and want to be a part of it. Valara came to us, said, we want to meet with you. We want to teach your kids. We need young workers in our field. And so they taught HVAC and plumbing classes during the second semester. I had no cost to SAVA. They signed volunteer forms. They were on campus each week with coach in the classroom with them. And their folks walk our kids through how to do HVAC and plumbing. City of Sacramento, we're continuing a strong partnership with them through the 1,000 Strong program. Again, we've got about 30 kids in the 1,000 Strong program at Sala right now. We're in the process of helping place each of those students into a internship that will last for 300 hours. And then Power and Alliance is a partner in the Southside neighborhood that has really helped us with our connections to other industry partners. They have a large network of industry that's part of their alliance, and they are now frequently referring people to us and us to others to help expand programs we offer for kids in our community. I want to share just a couple of survey results. This is from the survey that the Flippin Group puts out to determine whether or not we have met the mark to be a National Showcase school. The column on my left that is green, mostly green with one little red spot, that is the percentage that said yes to those questions for Saba. And on the right, next to that, that is the percentage required to become a National Showcase school. As you can see, in all but one category, we exceeded and sometimes highly exceeded the national benchmark. And this survey specifically was taken by 291 of our students. So showing that they feel safe, loved, valued, that they enjoy their experience at school and feel like they are being empowered to become successful adults in the future. When you look at the next slide, this is specifically from our staff and teachers. So we had 60 of our staff members take this survey, and we exceeded and sometimes highly exceeded the national benchmark in every single category. And again, this is really the heart of what we do at SAVA and at GCC. And this is the reputation that the community is beginning to know about us. That not only do we provide solid career training to kids, but it's a place where any student from any background can come and feel loved, valued, and accepted. And they know when students come and they feel loved, valued, and accepted, that they are going to be willing to put the time and effort in to learn. And we're very excited about the results of these surveys. Leading right into staff and personnel quality, really that culture that we've established through CKH ties directly to why we're able to hold on to good staff members. You know, in addition to CKH, as professional development that we do, we've continued a lot of work the last few years, innovative and the coherence work. Another special piece that we do is called ISCON, or Independent Study Conference is what that stands for. But we get together with CCCS and share best practices. So this is something we started last year. We've done one conference a year up to this point. Next year we have 2 on the calendar, and we'll have about 100 independent study teachers get together at the Power on campus and break out into mini sessions. We'll do 30-minute sessions, and we'll have about 10 to 15 different classrooms full of teachers learning, collaborating, sharing best practices with each other. Recognizing staff is another way we get staff to buy in, to really love being solid every day. We're great at celebrating accomplishments, not just the students, but our staff members. A data point that I'm incredibly proud of this year, we have roughly 70 teachers employed at SAVA, and 0 teachers resigned this school year, which I think is a phenomenal number that goes to show just the quality of program that we run from the top down in the GCC. And then I put competitions in there because I'm a competitive guy, and I think when we go compete together, we build relationships, we learn to love each other. It's just fun. I've got a picture down there of a staff-student soccer game that we had at the end of the year. We had a great team. Well, let's be real, our team wasn't great. We'll be great next year. But we had a great experience participating in the GCC Volleyball League this year, so thank you guys for putting that together for us. Do it again, and I promise we'll win next year.
Oh, you promise.
Room for improvement, right? Always room for improvement. That's what we'll do next year. So with that, what is next? What is upcoming for SAVA? A couple big pieces. We're going to continue to expand our internship programs, not just through the City of Sacramento 1,000 Strong, but internally with this workforce development coordinator. We want to start building these internship opportunities in-house. It's great to have the partnerships with the city, but again, the more we can do in-house, I believe the better it will be, the stronger it will make us. We're going to work to continue to grow enrollment at the Natomas site. Like I said, looking to start the year at 150. Focus on CSI. CSI is comprehensive school improvement, an increasing graduation rate. This is specifically geared towards SAVA or USD. We have been tasked with upping our 1-year cohort graduation rate. And the plan that we put in place for this in Twin Rivers will obviously be set for that school site, but this will be throughout all SAVA schools. That we have this as a focus. We know that this will always be a need with our students, helping them recover credits, but not just recover credits, but be prepared to be successful in the world after you graduate. So we're going to have a big focus on that next year. And then expanding and replicating the SAVA model. Again, I believe the work we do is impactful, it changes lives, and we are excited about the potential opportunities possibly down in the Lodi area with Gateway Academic and Vocational Academy. And our team here will continue to work to push towards getting that charter and creating more opportunities in more regions throughout Northern California to make an impact on students. And with that, my presentation is finished, and I would love to answer questions if you have any.
Okay, and you've been taking copious notes already, yes.
Mark, you want to go first? No. Oh, okay. Well, first, congratulations.
Thank you.
Just a wonderful program of all the sites. And I hate to think of how many miles you're putting on your auto.
Just wait till next year for Lodi. Gotta put that in the budget.
I really, the CTE program, and either one of you can answer this. What new pathways are you looking at for the vocational learning?
So we're actually looking more into welding and manufacturing. So we're expanding our welding program this year. It's been hugely successful, just starting out with an intro class in our collision department. And we're looking to expand it into our agricultural pathway as well.
Well, the need is so great.
Yeah.
And dollars a student can make in that
And I do understand how expensive it is to run occupational these programs because the technology is changing weekly, if not daily. Training is state of the art. So congratulations.
And Powering Alliance has been a huge help, educating us in the needs of the region as well. And we've gone to some advisory boards for different sectors, but they've connected some people in manufacturing.
Well, that's the best way to go. We can't duplicate the equipment they have. So if we can get them to let our students have that training using their resources, that's really the road to success. So keep up the good work.
The Powering Corridor is full of manufacturing jobs. I mean, that is what the Powering Corridor is manufacturing. So that's why we said, hey, we need to jump into that.
What are some examples of that? Sorry.
No.
Well, what are some examples of light manufacturing? Do I
It
know
is-
these are subs to major corporations?
It is
building parts
so
and
broad. I mean, on the small scale, you got t-shirt companies I've got a motorcycle company that does motorcycle gear moving in down the street. Those are just two that I know of, and there's so many. Do you have any specifics? Okay, so
SVMI, which I forget what that stands
Sac
for.
Valley Manufacturing.
Yes, so they're a conglomerate that represent a bunch of different companies. And they approached us with Powering Alliance and said, hey, what are you doing? Can we partner in some way to get some of your kids into our businesses? So,
And we're still learning. I mean, obviously, that wasn't I didn't have a whole lot of responsibilities. We're still learning what manufacturing is, but it's broad. I mean, you name it, it's made in Powering Corridor in Sacramento region.
Yeah, so the question is, how broad do you want to make CTE? Because there's only so much staff. Although if you could depend on using third parties to provide the training,
Right.
then that is really the key, is being able to expand on the programs. Have you decided, when you go through an evaluation of your pathways at the end of the year, do you look at all of them individually and say, hey, do we want to continue down this path? Because you've got to have students that are interested.
Absolutely.
as well.
We look at enrollment trends, we look at job market trends, we talk to our partners. We got to look at all that data to find out what is worth having next year, because it used to be 7 years ago, if we found somebody that could teach pathway, we wanted to grow and build it because we had nothing to start with, and we would jump on it. Ashley's job this year has really turned into being more of a strategic planner on going, hey, what's in a region, which is why we've really started to work with Powering Alliance. And we don't know what manufacturing SABA looks like yet, to be honest, but we know that's on our list because that's what we're hearing that the need and demand is in our community. So we'll be working on that and learning more about that before we actually go to the implementation phase of the manufacturing.
So, I'm not trying to dominate, but obviously you guys are doing a phenomenal job in that area, and the environment that you create for both the students and staff is phenomenal. You know, your percentages on both staffing and student acknowledgement of the good work that you're all doing is far exceeding
you.
I want to ask you, when I look at the numbers from the academic side.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a lot of variance. We haven't seen a lot of growth. We've seen, like in English language, it's been at 17%, 14%, 17%. Mathematics, 2, 3, 2.
Yeah.
What are we doing more to address that?
Sure.
What can we do? Because I understand the kids and the backgrounds they come from, but how can we move the needle in those areas?
Well, again, when the scores come out this year, it's looking like you may see something upwards of a 10% increase in IULA. And again, not official, so I cannot say that matter of fact yet, but it is up there for Twin Rivers and for Elk Grove specifically. And I believe that the work we're doing with our coherence process and the focus on writing and our CoLab model that we've implemented in Saba, I mean, everything we do is focused on literacy and writing right now in every one of our classes and labs, regardless of what content area you're teaching. So we're going to continue that. Hopefully that momentum continues to build. Math is hard, and we continue to look for different ways to be innovative to help our kids grasp it and master it. Staffing's one reason that that's been such a challenge. We have very few math credentialed teachers on staff. That is not an excuse, that's just where we're at. So one, we need staff that have that expertise. And then two, with limited time on campus, it's not enough. And so finding ways to implement more classroom-based math classes at Saba, I believe, is something we have to do. We do it at a few of our campuses right now, like Integrated 1. They'll be enrolled in Integrated Math or Edgenuity, but they actually come to site every week to do that class. And I think we have to find ways in our model to do more of that, to receive that direct instruction support, not just from the videos at Edgenuity, because math can be too hard via videos. You have to have a teacher walking you through it. So it's looking at ideas like that and building that into our structure and making that part of the culture that, hey, when you're at Saba, this is not, we see students are on campus anywhere from 2 to 4 days a week, because you cannot get what you need by showing up for 3 hours a week. Yes, we're a non-classroom based model, but every student needs some level of on-site, face-to-face, one-on-one support from a teacher or teachers to really get to that next level.
I would say, just as a commentary to that, I think we've really improved that. I think before we had a lot of students just doing the bare minimum. Now you've created an environment where they want to come to campus, they want to learn. And I think that's great that you've been able to do that. The one thing Ashley had mentioned, and I think it might address part of the issue with math, is when you talk about the practicality, when you're doing the academics to apply it to a real world situation. A lot of these manufacturing jobs, a lot of these jobs, whether it's working on a car or whatever, require a certain level of math. And so how can we, turn that, this thing called math into something that becomes, this is the real application of that in something that might be of interest to you or something you want to pursue.
Agreed, and I should have hit that, because when I actually talked about project-based learning, that's exactly what that is creating CTE classes to where a kid is learning in a semester 2.5 credits in CTE for construction and 2.5 credits in integrated math, because you're building tiny house, right? Or whatever that project is. So 100%, we are getting there, we are working towards it, and I would say even by next year at this time, I would probably have a few examples to share with the board of how we've started that at Saba.
And I know that more of this, sorry,
No.
it's just a thought when we talk about the academics, that I know for the last few years, you've really been trying to work not only on the CTE part of it, the pathways, but the academic piece of it too, because that has been a focal point with Saba.
We've got it.
Yes.
Regardless of who we are serving and the struggles they
Yes.
come, we've got to find ways to do that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, go back to you.
Back to the need for people to give instruction in math. I know it isn't an exact comparison, but at the community college level, with our vocational partners that we have, they would provide their staff, we're not required to be credentialed, but they would provide their staff to assist our students, particularly in areas of technology, mathematics, and so forth. The very thing that Mark is talking about is specifically in that field. And if you could get some interested individuals in a particular occupation who would like to come in, usually under supervision of a credentialed instructor, but would have that ability to teach math, because I know the difficulty you're going to have, and it shows the student exactly how that math is going to translate in. I remember in the industrial tech area, the plumbing required a lot of math, because it's very, very math directed. How much material do I need? How many cubic feet can this water carry, and so forth. But that is, one suggestion. If you can maybe find some talented individuals with your partners who would say, hey, we need help. And I'm not exactly sure at all the, process that we have to go through for these people for background checks and so forth, but I think it would be something to look at.
Thank you for that.
Okay. One other question I had, and I was just kind of interested, this is in the marketing area. You still find Pandora to be a really great marketing tool?
Every time we've done it, we'll get, 5 to 10 applications that come in, and Mark, we heard about you on Pandora.
All right.
Yeah, I do think it would be good to look at other pieces that are out there. But Spotify, whatever, I don't even know what all of them are. But there's other resources we could tap into. But Pandora has been successful, and as long as it continues to produce, we've already got the contract template set up. It's efficient for us to use.
Yeah.
Continue to market whichever site we're really
And
looking
it
to grow.
focuses right on that audience that listens to that cohort, that
Absolutely.
listens to that.
Yep.
That's
16 to 19-year-olds and 34-year-olds to 50-year-olds, the target population that we just serve, or you have kids that are in the age that we serve.
Right.
And then zip codes.
Again, thank you for your enthusiasm.
Absolutely.
Well,
Thank
for
you.
your accomplishments.
We are so happy you're there. We're so happy your staff is there. Oh, you have a question? Okay.
So you said that you had 180 graduates, but when we met earlier today, don't you also have 40 in summer school?
Yes, so
That's
I
on
think,
top
no, thank you for clarifying. We had 140 that graduated either in December or in June. We have 40 more that will graduate over summer school if they complete their summer school courses. So we had 180 walk-in graduation is what I should have said.
Okay, so I thought maybe you were talking 220. I was
No,
really
I missed
excited.
that.
He was already
2 years ago, we did have 200 walk-in graduation. This year, we had 180 eligible.
So my other question was, when Ms. Ashley said 200 students, 35 partners for the job shadow, is there only certain grade levels that are doing job shadow students? Is it?
No, it is all grade levels. We've done it different ways, different semesters. We have done it where all of our seniors do it one semester. We've done it where every student in a concentrator or capstone CTE class will go one semester. And then last semester, it was really, hey, let's intermix it. And any student that wants, we had our focus day, we're going to target capstone classes or target senior block. But any student that wants to be involved, we let them in. And we're looking for ways to, the logistics are hard, but hey, let's get every student involved. And ultimately, over time, we want to make that some type of a graduation requirement that you will complete X number of job shadow or work-based learning experiences or X number of hours of work-based learning experiences as part of your program at SABA. I think that would be incredibly valuable to get to. And we got to continue to build partnerships and have the ability to give all our students that opportunity before we make it mandated or we're well on our way.
Definitely answer the board. The other thing I would ask is, I know we just started the HVAC work with this Lamar.
Clark, yeah.
And are we keeping track of any students that we actually place in jobs?
We are currently talking about how to make that happen, and that is going to be one of the roles of the workplace coordinator, is to really be our tracking person, because, again, challenges all over the place, right? That's one of the challenges we have is tracking, but there's nothing more powerful than if I can show up and say, hey, we put X number of students into this field and that field. Right now, I can't give you that data, so that's an area we can work on, and we've been in conversations about how.
Great job by you and your team for everything for that.
Yes.
Thank you, folks.
I didn't make no mistake, please. I want to congratulate all of you. It's such a pleasure for me to come to the programs, to the CTE, and to just visit the schools. And I just need to say this, if you come in my house, you will see some artwork in my office, some artwork in my bedroom. You will see some little statues and what have you, so I can say that's Salva, that's Salva, that's Salva. So I enjoy coming and seeing the work of the students and intermingling with them. So thank you again for the great report, number one, and the great work that all of you are doing. It's obvious, so thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we know that if you need to leave, it's okay.
We're watching you.
Okay, we're moving on with study section. For one, whose annual story, oh, that's, we just did that. For two, Gateway Academic Invitation Academy update.
Yeah, we did just have a meeting the other day, it feels like, so there's not a ton to report, but we are continuing to provide documents per the Public Records Act request that we believe is a best practice due diligence being practiced by Lodi in their process. We are down to, I believe, our last 3 bullet items that we will be providing by the end of this week. As yet, we can tell that they are accessing the documents, but we've not had any further communication with them regarding the documents. As we provided the documents and confirmed with them how much time it would take to give them everything they required, we actually communicated with them our belief that that put us out of a best practice window to open this fall. And they have responded through their legal that they believe and understand that the process is now in agreement that if approved, we would open a year from now. Mr. Business has thanked me many times over for that experience. The other thing that was communicated is that they understand that board action on their part must take place before August 14th. They have not confirmed the actual board meeting date with us. They do not have a board meeting scheduled for August 14th, so that would have to either be at their August 6th. I don't believe they have any July board meeting scheduled. So we are assuming, although they have not overtly confirmed August 6th, the only alternative would be if they decided to have a special board meeting for the sake of this action item. So we will keep you informed, but we believe right now August 6th is the most probable date for the hearing. Continuing in a variety of roles, Jason, Michael, and others are working to develop or build on our political relationships in this area, and in the hopes of helping to affect the outcomes for the charter. But at this point, we are just basically kind of in the watch and see area. The GCC Foundation, which has funding and alignment to grow and innovate for Gateway Community Charter Schools, has funded a couple of individuals who are supporting outreach efforts in the area so that we can begin to create interest lists that we think will help us with our decision meeting and moving forward. So that is everything to do with GABA at this time.
So is there supposed to be a meeting tonight? No, did I miss something like
The
that?
meeting on what?
On GABA?
No.
Well, I, board meeting.
Oh, no, that.
Yeah, like we were never on the agenda.
Okay. Oh, I got that impression. All right, thank you. Any comments, questions, board member? All right, thank you. Moving on to 4.3, legislative update, and Mr. Sanford.
All right, so good afternoon, President, Board Member, Dr. Peterson. I have a huge update for you. Not really, the legislature have gone to their summer recess, but there are a couple of things that our team would like to update you on. First of all, AB 1505 and 1507, those are still the 2 charter bills that continue their way through the process. There is ongoing discussion that is, of course, happening between all the wonderful political groups and folks. And at this time, both are scheduled to be heard by the Senate Education Committee on July the 10th. 2019, and so at that time, we'll see what who's of those bills next. But at this point, Red Circuit, they are heading out of the building for the summer, and they're enjoying their vacations, and that's a good thing. It means they're getting quiet, and the longer they're quiet, that's the better news. Thank you, everybody. That was the fastest update I've given you this whole legislative cycle. So I can cheat you. All right, thank you.
That's great, thank you, thank you.
I will build off of that in just slightly in terms of the Big Map Board Meeting. I will say, not only do we have the angle of the two remaining bills, but the current newspaper articles about the indictment of 11 individuals in the Valiant School A3 situation has added to fuel to the fire to some of the anti-charter right now. And while it may not be legislation, the Department of Education and some key entities such as Big Mat staff behind the scenes are working on changes to regulation in relation to non-classroom-based charters, because what we want is non-classroom-based charter. We don't know what that looks like right now. Their terminology is they need to close loopholes for bad behavior, such as what we saw in the paper. But we'll be monitoring it closely for what unintended consequences closing those loopholes might make to just regular operation. At this time, I really feel a good deal of their conversation about bad operators has some to do with the traditional superintendents who took payoffs. So some of it is how do you ensure that districts don't take advantage of the system? So there is a great deal of discussion there. But obviously there is also these loopholes where the operator was able to set up corporations and siphon money off personally. So I'm assuming there is going to be some regulation on both sides. As you can imagine, neither one of those apply to us. So I'm hopeful that it will not be something that stops anything that we are doing to help students.
Any comments? Hearing none, I shall move on to consent agenda items. 6.1 to 6.8, minutes, personnel, purchases over 30,000, employment agreement 2019, GCC plans, Eldorado County Supper, award contract student transportation, 2019-20 consolidated applications, and the one agenda item. I will entertain a motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Any of the consent agenda items? Hearing none, all in favor of the consent agenda items, vote a sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, and now we are down to item 7, business. The 2019-2020 adopted budget with Gateway Community Charters.
The item that we have all agreed on the edge of our seats for.
That's what all this song
Why we stayed over here.
They want to hear it too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just first would like to confirm through this process, Brooke Porteous is here. The audience will probably we're putting together this budget this year, and as well as Michael Gillespie, Christine McCormick, helping with the LCAP budgeting as well. So we're needed with that. It's a lot of work. However, basically nine individual budgets have to be submitted to the state and 9 LCAPs. So, just before I begin, I just wanted to make a correction to the agenda item. It notes just an incorrect amount of 18-19 budget in terms of the size of the budget and the 19-20 total budget amount. It should be going from 58.1 million in 18-19 to a total of 69.5 million on the agenda item itself, so summary. So, again, probably all know now, so the budget is due to the chartering authorities, which are oversight districts and the county office of education for EPIC on June 30. And we plan to submit that timely by this Friday. The budget being presented here is based on the assumptions from the governor's May revise. So after the state budget is actually adopted, the assumptions in budget will be revised accordingly for the first interim. So just some of the highlights of the state budget. The increase to public education, public K-12 education, it's slightly lower than it was in the past year, the increase. So we have a 3.26% cost of living adjustment for LCFF. Last year, in January, the governor came out with had a 3.46% COLA, so that dropped a little bit, not much. In 2018-19, just for comparison, we had 3.7% increase. So we're kind of getting a little bit smaller this year increase. This year, coming up into 1920, we don't have any more of the what you call one-time discretionary funds. We enjoyed several years of one-time funding under Governor Brown, and now that's been turned off, and so it will be zero. In 18-19, we had $184 for prior year ADA funding from that source. Despite state relief, STRS and PERS rates continue to increase rapidly. And so just there on the slide, it's kind of history. We had it for many, many years, 8.25%, jumped to 8.88, and now it's climbed up to, our assumption for 1920 is 16.7%. PERS is up to 20.733% in 1920. And actually, it's expected that when the state enacts the adopted budget, that there will be some change to this. This was based on the May revise. So the STRS rate is probably going to end up at 17.1%, and the PERS rate will drop to 19.721% because the state is providing some relief to that finally. That will create a negative budget impact of just $28,000 in GCC. One of the things that the state or the governor had proposed is a special education school readiness grant. And what it was going to do is provide additional funding for students with disabilities in schools that had high unduplicated pupil percentages. And that would have been a very big positive impact, I think, to SAVA. Unfortunately, this will likely not pass in the final budget adoption, and we did not budget assuming this item anyway. So this won't have any impact to GCC. Instead, they've decided to divert these funds to special education preschool grants and to bring the lowest funded SELPAs in the state to the statewide target amount. Our SELPA is already at the statewide target amount. State budget and for charter schools. This year we have, just with the onslaught of anti-charter bills that are coming out, the governor proposed to stick some of these into the budget. So there's 4 non-fiscal items that were proposed in the budget that impacts charter schools. And so they're listed here, the bullet points, prohibiting charter schools from discouraging enrollment, and they're going to be looking for strange patterns of data in charter schools. So I think these are things that Jason has already, you've already announced to the board previously. So I'm just going to continue on. EDA, that's the largest P2 average daily attendance is the largest driver of revenues for our schools. And so this listed here is the change between 18-19 P2 ADA and what we're forecasting for 19-20 in this budget. Total increase is 312.22 ADA, it's a pretty good increase. A lot of schools, we are assuming pretty good increases. COA at 81.49 ADA is pretty good with now the addition of the 5726 Dudley site for them to grow. We also have Saba, as Mr. Elliott just mentioned, with the Twin Rivers site, moving up to 86 ADA. And HLA, we've had a huge demand at the new Rancho Del Paso site. So we're assuming over 80 ADA increase there. The other schools are moving up just slightly, and for CCCS, we are taking a conservative approach in budgeting, just flat with no growth enrollment. General fund revenues, 18-19 to 19-20, we are estimating a $5.7 million increase. The largest portion of that is the increase to LCFF because of the large enrollment ADA increase and a 3.26% increase to the funding rate. Federal revenues, it's about $250,000 increase in the budget. We just had some changes where we got some prior carryover coming in to 1920. The CSI, Title I CSI grants, they're new for 3 of the schools. And that offsetting with the expiration of the PCSGP funding at Saba, Sac City, Unified. And we also have the two, Saba, Sac City, and Saba Elk Grove are also having IDEA special education funding for the first time. Other state revenues are dropping, and that's largely because of the loss of one-time funding that I just discussed. And then other local revenues are increasing because now that we are adding 2 schools into the El Dorado County Charter SELPA and taking them out of the Twin Rivers Unified, the SELPA that they belong to, COA and SABA are now going to be removed. So now we get a funding stream from the El Dorado County Charter SELPA through the other local revenue area. This just shows the general fund revenues by school. So you can just see the changes on just a school total basis. The largest being COA because of their size of increase of ADA, and Saba with the very big increase for forecasting, and HLA. It's kind of tied along with the enrollment increases. So we've gone through some of these already here. These are just revenue assumptions. Some other ones to note. The other state area mandated cost block grants. We get a little bit of funds every year for state mandates, rate blue state mandates. And then we have lottery, $151, restricted, and $53 free restricted. SB 740 facility grants, we get that for COA Elementary, Epic, GIS's, the property that they have across the street from church. We get 75% of rent plus other costs for maintenance or improvements, whichever is less, or $1,184 per P2ADA, whichever is less. We are assuming that the other cost portion of that grant will be funded at a 25% deficit in the state. They are not funding enough, but they are trying to provide the rent portion of the grant of full funding. ACES is still the same, going into 1920 for the 3 schools, COA, HLA, and general fund expenses. We are estimating a $3.7 million increase to expenses. Mostly certificate salaries and benefits. You can see certificate salaries, classified benefits. And we have a small decrease in books and supplies and increase in services this time and capital outlay. I'll go over these here individually in just a minute. This is the total by school, how they're decreasing their expenditures or increasing. The CCCS, we made a lot of cuts to CCCS going to 1920, the North Stack program, moving Firehouse, and so that is why that you see that going down about 449,000. In the COA, this is just decreasing slightly, just because this switched out of the Twin Rivers SELPA going to the El Dorado County Charter SELPA. We expected to save us a lot of money in this year. So certificated salaries, classified salaries, Grant's assuming that we've given an increase of 1.5% to staff on the salary schedule. All staff or most staff that are existing going into next year are moving up a column. And that generally adds usually a minimum of 2.5%. We also have those. There are a couple positions that are at about the minimum wage. Those are going up much higher, about 8% increase, 8-9%. That's the minimum wage. And then we've added positions because now we're bringing more special education in-house. So that means we need to hire people, hire teachers and psychologists. And so that's adding to the increase too of salaries and benefits as well. And we're trying to shift away from using outside service providers for those schools that are already in the El Dorado Charter SELPA and trying to hire our own staff. So that is added right at an increase too. Benefits, we're estimating a $2.3 million increase in benefits. PERS, as we noted before, the rates increasing. Health benefits, we assume an increase of 6%. That's pretty much kind of the average increase that we're seeing out of districts for health insurance. And we won't know until the next plan year. The plan year starts in January. So we don't know what these rates are going to go up yet, but that's more of an allowance. And so if we have a good year, comes in under that, we can trim down that budget and maybe move it to some other places that's needed. Workers' comp rate actually decreased during 1920 from our insurance provider, courtesy. That was nice. So 1.136% of salary. And of course, there's no changes to Social Security, Medicare, it's all the same, state unemployment insurance, no change there.
Stairs and first, did you factor in what you think is going to be the change in June?
No, this is the May revise. You'll see a flip flop from kind of certain curves. Books and supplies, we're estimating decrease about 165,000. We had high spending in the prior year on books and supplies because we had a PCSGP grant for Saba, Sac City, and even Saba Elk Grove. And so that's a lot of books and supplies in that grant. It's a one-time grant that's expiring.
One of my questions was about if the expanded use of Chrome tools is that having any impact on that you don't have to buy as many texts?
I think it's kind of
Evens out?
Yeah, I think it evens out. I mean, Chromebooks are over $300 each, $350, $360.
Textbooks are expensive.
And textbooks, yeah, are probably if you get 4 or 5 subjects in textbooks, it's about the same. So, yeah, we are seeing less textbook purchases more on this end. And or software license going up over time too. Services in other category, we're estimating a decrease of 400,000, which is, unusual, because the main reason for this is because the switch out of the cell phone, the two schools coming out of Twin Rivers and going, we're not paying the fee to Twin Rivers for those two schools, for the shortfall they have in special ed funding in their cell phone. We used to have to pay a share of that, and COA had to pay a very large share of that because of the size of their school. So that has created a decrease in this area. And just kind of goes, this slide just goes over all the changes to the various areas within services. General fund capital outlay, we're budgeting a decrease of 2.1 million to a total of just over 1.5 million. This is always an area that's constantly changing. As soon as I budget this, then I get 2 or 3 principals, superintendent, something else. So it's very difficult. But this is what we're seeing right now. We have less projects though that are planned. They have to clear for now. We built in 50,000 for CCCS, kids that have improvements or equipment needs. COA elementary building improvements. We have budgeted a good share again, just in case. And 160,000 was in their LCAP for smart boards. Somehow energy improvement money sitting around. We need to provide Steel Futures High and site as well. That Twin Rivers is handling for us. There's also building improvements, the $80,000, the gym, Culinary Academy, for stage, some nature improvements. We have the GIS. We budgeted quite a good share of funds just in case the modernization didn't have enough funding to make some of the improvements that we want to see at GIS. And then we have EPIC for redoing the stairway and lobby area there, and Saba EG, Saba El Pro, $40,000 for flooring.
What is Epic doing for the stairwell? Improving the carpet, because just recarpeting with the.
Painting the lobby,
Yeah.
carpeting.
And a rubber tread.
Good.
Stairs.
Yeah, that's great.
A lot more durable.
Yes, yeah, that's what I thought. They needed.
Our general fund balance, our beginning fund balance, is estimated just over 25 million. We are expecting an increase of just over 1.7 million to 26.8 million. The only school, if you skip there, we are budgeting a deficit for the next year's futures of $217,000. Unfortunately, their higher enrollment is not up enough to help offset projected debt payments on the building. We were pretty conservative though. In 1920, we were budgeting an entire year of debt service payments. I don't know that will really occur. We may not. I'm still trying to figure out from the state whether those debt payments are going to start this year, or whether we might have like half a payment, or it may not even start until the 2021 year. So that deficit may come down, but we still need to kind of hopefully get some more enrollment in there to provide enough funds.
What did they lose, about 50 students?
I think around, that's probably about right, 40 to 50.
That would be about right. Advertising Pandora.
I think that's the wrong marketing strategy.
Yeah.
for that group.
But we have looked at some marketing strategies.
Building funds, so, we're moving off the Futures and HLA project. Rancho Del Paso site's complete, so we're not predicting any activity in the building fund for Futures anymore. But now as we have one going off, now we're with Gateway International and the modernization project coming on. And so that's pretty much the change here. We're estimating revenues to increase 5.6 million in the fund because of the modernization funding at GIS, and expenditures come out in 1920 of the same amount, so. This slide just goes over some of the risks that we are seeing and that we want to keep in the back of our mind as we go through the year and making decisions, is that the LCFF growth and future economy for many years, we're wondering, when's the recession gonna come? When's it gonna come? And you know, what goes up must come down, and so that is always a risk. Budget, you know, this budget relies on a significant increase in enrollment going into 1920. And so that enrollment doesn't materialize, those revenues are not going to increase, and we could be seeing, closer to a, we may have deficits in more of the schools than projected here. We did build in a pretty good cushion of budget surplus this year across the entire GCC, so we do have some cushion in case those enrollment numbers don't materialize fully. We have the new facility loan coming on, of course, and STRS, PERS, health insurance costs just continue to increase way beyond the rate of inflation, and puts a strain on the rest of the budget. Low cost of living adjustments for LCFF is a problem. Costs are rising faster than these increases from LCFF. And special education now that we are pulling more schools into our own management here and the other auditor self up, that is a risk. If we get one or two students that need a non-public school placement or anything, that could turn some of these special ed budgets way upside down.
Yes.
And that's all. Questions from the board?
Yes.
No, you traditionally do it insightful, well presented, and transparent budget, very, very well presented. And I do appreciate the areas you highlighted. You responded to most of my questions that I had earlier, just a couple of them. I'm glad you highlighted special education. I read a number of articles about the school districts now faced with that increased cost in that area. And I think that's one we might even want to develop at our retreat that we have coming up this summer. But, to kind of focus on it, get a little bit inside and back.
Yeah,
I really, to show my ignorance, I really would like to have a crash course in eligibility. You know, how you, the student is eligible. What's the problem? How does it just, the process and a parent, and the parents unhappy the appeal process and the expectations of that. I don't know. I'm really not informed in that area.
Maybe there's an overview, underway to overview special education, what it means, and particularly, what it means if you have a child next to a non-public school placement in the country. So,
Exactly.
and that could really damage you.
Yeah, how it impacts your school and your reputation.
And the fact that we still funded at less than what we're supposed to be nationally.
I know it's another one that we usually deal later with, and we look at local districts, so for salary increases or compensation increases. Are we at the 1.5%? Are we in the ballpark of what you know around the area, or do you have any data on
I don't have specific data on that. I think that GCC historically has provided, steady increases each year. Where sometimes you see districts and they've kind of go without, 2 years without any increase, and then you see this big, this so this district's getting 8% or whatever. So I think, it's a little bit, I think we're moving closer
In the right direction,
right direction with our city increases.
In fact, at least we are not at a point with some of the districts, they're making huge increases, for
Well,
1
yeah,
year.
they go up
And
and then they
And then they can't pay for the next year, so if you're slow, slow and progress, then you're gonna be able to fund your budget, what you're doing, so. I really, when we look at Sac City, that's a big problem.
If Sac City, if the County Office of Education rejects Sacramento City Unified School District's budget, it says they would not have to go for bailout from the state until a year from now. Is that how the process works?
Well, I think it just depends. They're able to use, they have
Reserves.
reserves. So they're able to
Reserves.
And
give
that's what
another
they
year, drain the reserve before they get to that stage.
And that's what they did, they've done their budget, they turned it in, and used the reserves, which, which is a deficit.
One time.
What happens if there's catastrophe? So, you just don't wanna get into that.
Have done enough cuts, supposedly, to be able to have enough cash flow to make it for the year. But their multi-year budgets do not work, and they are facing the idea that they can survive on renegotiating their contracts, and nobody believes they will be able to renegotiate those contracts. So that's why the out years are definitely incredibly problematic. And right now, in terms of meetings like the Big Net Board, there's a great deal of caution and consideration that they are not making necessary decisions to survive in the long term. There will be, at this point, a takeover. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
When?
Just one final question on the workers' comp, is that the decrease in our claims there, is that because our claims are down, or we have a good history, or just lower the rates across the board?
Well, I think historically we've had a good history. We've had one major claim lately, but that I don't think will improve, impact us until later. I think it's a share of that and okay.
Here, you mentioned that's kind of a little bit sarcasm about getting put up with capital expenditures. What, with the principles, some of the principles here, what is your process for kind of forecasting the principles? Do you get engaged in that conversation early on, or are these just unexpected opportunities that get brought to your attention?
No, I'm definitely informed early on. Sometimes there's just a need that comes up. And there's sometimes opportunities that come up too that we have to take advantage of. And I meet with the principals frequently. We have budget meetings, and so these things I'm informed early on. And so if we have a good opportunity, we have the money to make an improvement that's needed, we try to make that happen.
I would just add to that, the struggle is that there are the things that you can't control, like, the city deciding to close something we're using, and now we have to go work someplace else. And those ones are harder. And then the other ones, often we have to struggle with wish list versus, should we be doing that? They're all wonderful things.
Yeah.
But, how many times do we want to replace the carpet? How frequently? Do we really need to, knock that wall down? Is that the best short-term and long-term? And we have learned historically, we've made a few decisions that we should have made, that even though we cautioned the principal that we didn't think this was the best thing, we went ahead with it, and afterwards we thought, we should have stood our ground. We should have just said that. So it is a tough thing when you're partnering over a budget and it's a school's budget and they have a desire and you're trying to both be cautious for the short term and the long term and, you know, how often should we replace carpet, how often should we paint, how often is reasonable as opposed to what would be nice. And that's when we get into some of these discussions.
And we still have to, if you saw the paper this morning, they're still talking about when is the recession going to happen? Not if, but when. So, you know, we still have to be cautious and kind of keep that in mind too. You know, we're not always going to have this budget. I've heard you say that many times. So we have to look at what's actual reality and what's not. So with that, any other comments, questions? We do have a vote, so I will entertain a motion to accept the adopted budget for Gateway Community Church. I have an entertain motion. So, second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the adopted budget for 2019-2020, the voting sign of aye. Ayes. The ayes have it, opposed, the ayes have it.
So just want to
Yeah.
add on to some of the good things that were said. It does become more and more complex as we get more and more schools. And 9 schools, 9 budgets, 9 LCAPs, 9 audits, 9, and even within the 9, it is becoming more complex with the idea of having 5 authorizers who have 5 different sets of expectations, 2 county offices, and it does not come without a good deal of extra work and effort. And definitely want to affirm Aaron, who in the middle of this was also battling pneumonia and illnesses, and
Yes.
Brooke, who has been definitely doing a yeoman's job and adding value. So learning, growing, becoming, and I know that Aaron appreciates her greatly. I definitely want to affirm the entire department.
Yes, thank you very much. And, you know, that we have some principals here who went through the budget with us and understand the reality of what's actually happening in terms of looking at the budget and how to make sure it's balanced. So thank principals and staff for being here, and thank you guys. It's time to report, and giving it to us and making sure we understand it. All right, so with that, we move into board comments. Any comments you do?
Well, I was unable to attend the last board meeting, but I just wanted to say I enjoyed graduations. I know that they commented on the last board meeting, but and I don't know what the after action report was of the graduations. My observation was well done, enthusiastic, and you can't have too many balloons. So there, but that was. And I just want to wish everyone get it right.
Get it right,
Because
yes.
with 3 accreditations that you had to do, and maybe 4 in the future. And, you know, looking at the construction that you have going on. And they said you had a slide presentation for us.
She had some pictures or?
I have a few pictures.
Few pictures.
So, you know, get it right. And enjoy a little time this summer.
Anything? Yeah, I think we all talked about our experiences at the graduations and the promotions and whatever at the last board meeting. I don't think that anything else is there. Announcement of next board meeting. Could you tell us where we are with that, please?
Our next board meeting is scheduled for July 23rd. We'll be here at GCC offices, and we're scheduled to start at 3 p.m.
3 p.m. Now, we had one scheduled for the 1st of July, so that one has been canceled. So I just want to make sure you are aware that it has been canceled. And as Jack said, please find some time to rest, recuperate, just a little bit of time for yourselves and to take time out to smell the roses, all of you people, because within the next couple, 2 or 3 weeks, you'll be back here and starting all over again. Yeah, it's about 3, isn't it 3, 4 weeks? Yeah, for some. within 3 to 4 weeks?
Uh,
Even the,
Our son is already,
oh, come on.
Mr. Vincent's at his departmental, he has, they're almost yearly out there. We chain them to their desks.
Oh, bless your heart, bless your heart. Well, I'll see you July 23rd, don't look for me before then. I think we got everything signed up, right? Any other comments for the good of the organization? Comments, anyone? Okay,
Great year.
so yes, it's been a great year, it really has been a good year.
That's-
And it came very, very good. Okay, so with that, I will entertain a motion.
So, we adjourn.
So we are adjourned, meeting's adjourned, all in favor? There we go.
Okay.
Thank you so much for staying too. Thank you. And Maureen,
Yes, okay.
I know this is so wonderful.
Until July.
Until July.